What if I told you the list could come back at any moment? Longer, sharper, and built to survive court fights, and that the rules beneath your feet can tilt without warning while your flight is already in the air. Tonight we rip open Trump's travel ban playbook. Who gets blocked, who slips through, and who could be next as the gears of policy turn like a well-oiled gate, clanking open for some and locking tight for others. Imagine the arrivals hall. Bright boards flicker with city names, tired families clutch welcome signs. A child waves a small flag, and your phone lights up with one message you never want to read: stop at the checkpoint. Your category is on hold. Not because of anything you did, but because somewhere in a quiet room a risk model changed, a review concluded, and your passport now sits on the wrong side of a dashboard. That's the modern ban era in one line. Rapid moves, legal armor, and a global scoreboard that turns national behavior into visa access. The early days were raw, airport terminals morphing into ad hoc legal clinics, lawyers scribbling case numbers on cardboard, travelers sleeping under fluorescent light while officers awaited overnight guidance. But the spectacle gave way to a colder, more disciplined machine. Build a paper trail, run a country-by-country audit, tie each restriction to security criteria like document integrity, data sharing, overstay rates, and deportation cooperation, then stitch in carve-outs to blunt the hardest hits in court. The machinery is simple to describe and punishing to experience. First, agencies grade identity management. Are passports modern, biometric, hard to fake? Do governments report lost and stolen documents with urgency? Can they confirm a birth record beyond a smudged ledger? Will they pick up the phone when an embassy asks, "Is this person really yours?" Second, they assess information sharing, criminal records, watchlist data, travel histories, red flags that cross borders as quickly as a boarding pass. Third, they test cooperation. When someone is ordered removed, does the home country issue travel documents and take them back, or stall for months until flights expire and files go cold? Fourth, they watch compliance signals like overstays. When too many visitors ignore their return dates, pressure rises. Feed all that into a dashboard, color each box green, yellow, or red, then twist the dials. Full suspensions for the riskiest profiles, no immigrant or non-immigrant visas with narrow exceptions. Partial suspensions for the middle band, squeeze the highest volume pipelines first. Tourists, short-term business, students, and exchange visitors. Keep some lanes open but shorten validity, demand extra vetting, and review on a clock 90 days, then 6 months, then again, endlessly. The point isn't just to slam doors, it's to create leverage. Upgrade your documents, share your data, accept your deportees, and maybe your dial loosens. Stall, and it tightens. Supporters call this common sense, a seatbelt you hope you never need. Critics call it a fig leaf, paperwork wrapped around prejudice that punishes students, grandparents, and skilled workers for decisions made far above their pay grade. Both sides point to the same elements and tell different stories. Those elements are the skeleton of the playbook. The muscles are the exceptions, built to make courtroom punches glance off. Lawful permanent residence? Cleared. Dual nationals traveling on a different passport? Often cleared. Diplomats and international organization staff? Usually cleared. Immediate family immigrant categories with strong proof of relationship? Given a narrow lane. Special immigrant cases vetted for years? Threaded through. And everywhere, the pressure valve of case-by-case waivers. Granted when denial would cause undue hardship, when entry serves a defined national interest, or when risk screens come up clean. On paper, it sounds humane and precise. In real life, it can feel like a lottery where your number is called by a stranger who has 5 minutes, 3 software tabs, and a line of cases stretching out the door. Let's walk the ground truth. Airlines don't like drama at the gate, so they sync boarding rules to government feeds. If your category is red, the denial happens upstream in your departure city with a polite apology and a printout explaining nothing at all. Consulates adjust interview scripts and document checklists, asking for employment letters, proof of funds, research details, sponsorship affidavits, and return itineraries that look like they were drafted by a cautious auditor. Universities become triage centers. International offices hold webinars, publish emergency FAQs, craft deferral plans, and whisper the same careful phrase, "We'll try for a waiver, but please prepare a backup." Employers, especially hospitals and tech firms, Learn to budget for uncertainty. They open parallel roles in hub cities, investigate remote options, and pray start dates don't collide with a new proclamation. Advocacy groups keep hotlines warm for that midnight message. My wife is at secondary inspection. What do we do? And the honest answer is often breathe, be respectful, document everything, and call back with the officer's exact wording. The human ripple is the statistic no briefing can capture. There's the grandmother who bought a dress for a wedding she won't attend. The PhD student who tucks a scholarship letter into a drawer that now feels like a museum case. The surgical resident who keeps their scrubs in a suitcase by the door because at any moment the consulate may and may not call. There's the child who practices a welcome sign in a new alphabet, then erases it one tier at a time. Policies speak in categories. People live in moments. And yet, the legal spine that supports this is both short and stubborn. A line in immigration law that lets a president suspend the entry of classes of non-citizens whenever it's deemed detrimental to national interests. Courts look for process. Was there a bona fide review? Are the restrictions logically tied to security? Are there exceptions to prevent arbitrary punishment? Is there a calendar for updates? Does the text read like a sledgehammer or like a toolbox? The more it looks like a toolbox with calibrated wrenches and scheduled maintenance, the harder it is to knock down. That's why modern proclamations talk like engineering manuals, criteria, thresholds, reporting cycles, audit trails. The message to judges is clear. This isn't whim, it's workflow. And the message to the world is clearer. Your cooperation will be measured in visas. Now, who could be next if the dials turn again? Watch identity management first. If a country's civil registries are fractured, if passports are easily counterfeited, if lost and stolen documents vanish into a bureaucratic fog, risk surges. Watch information sharing second. If governments hesitate to transmit criminal or terror data, or can't do it fast, they paint a target on their travelers' backs. Watch deportation cooperation third. When removal flights sit empty because travel documents never arrive, pressure becomes policy. And watch geopolitics like a weather radar. When wrongful detentions and hostage diplomacy flicker on the screen, targeted visa restrictions on officials, and sometimes broader slowdowns around high-profile summits arrive like thunderstorms. There's a myth that a ban is a wall. It's closer to a mixing board. One slider controls tourists and short-term business visitors. Another controls students and scholars. Another handles workers and trainees. Another touches immigrant categories. One more for officials. And in the corner, a large red knob labeled National Interest. Policy engineers slide them up and down, hearing the buzz in real time. Travel agencies in capital cities lose business, hotels near campuses empty, consulates book extra interviews for exceptions, universities juggle remote classes, research teams move a winter lab to a more permissive country, families reorganize weddings around seasons of policy. That mixing board teaches a hard lesson. Even when a lane stays open on paper, friction can make it unusable. Try interviewing at a consulate that just lost half its staff or proof ties when your home country's tax records are handwritten. Try scheduling a follow-up when the case notes say additional administrative processing without an end date. Try walking through a door that technically stands ajar while the hallway is blocked with forms, fees, and fingerprints. Let's do some rapid-fire questions, the kind you hear whispered in airport cafes. Does a valid visa get canceled overnight? Rarely, usually it remains valid until it expires, but renewals can be another story. Can exceptions help? Yes, immediate family, diplomats, dual nationals with a different passport, and narrowly defined humanitarian or special categories often have lanes. They aren't automatic, but they exist. Are waivers real? They are granted case by case when hardship is clear, national interest is strong, and risk screens are clean. Are students doomed? No, but they need backups. Alternate campuses, deferred starts, hybrid terms, or a semester at a satellite campus abroad. Are workers stuck? Some pivot to remote, some shift to regional hubs, some wait out a review cycle. Others don't make it through. Is this permanent? Nothing in immigration policy is truly permanent. Review clocks keep the machine alive, letting governments add and remove countries without rebuilding from scratch. How do you survive it? Pack proof, rehearse your story, keep your temper, and bring redundancy. Plan A, B, and C. There's a quieter arena where this playbook exerts power, consular discretion. Two officers can read the same file and see different risk profiles. That's not malice. It's the math of time. 5 minutes per interview means your evidence must sing on the first note. If your case truly serves a U.S. interest, critical research, life-saving care, testimony, cooperation, say so clearly and back it with documents. Write like a scientist, present like an attorney, behave like a diplomat. Respect at the window is not a guarantee, but disrespect is almost a guarantee of failure. Meanwhile, politics hums in the background. Supporters showcase the countries that improved their document security and saw relief, pointing to the review clock as proof the system rewards better behavior. Critics track the human fallout, telling stories of kids who age out of eligibility while paperwork circles the globe, or of scholars whose labs disband after visas vanish. Both sides weaponize numbers. One touts fraud interdictions. The other counts empty seats in classrooms. Most viewers don't read the footnotes. They feel the weather. And the weather can change with a single signature. So let's gather the lessons into a single survival kit. First, know your lane. Find the exact category you need and verify whether it's fully blocked, partially squeezed, or open with heavier vetting. Don't assume yesterday's rumor is today's rule. Second, over-prepare documents, purpose of travel, ties to home, financials, medical or academic letters, employer confirmations, clean itineraries, and a short, calm explanation of why your case is low risk. Third, consider timing. Some travelers wait for the first review cycle after a new restriction, betting that early glitches get ironed out. Others move fast before backlogs balloon. Fourth, cultivate redundancy, alternate routes, third country consulates where lawful, remote starts, later intakes, scholarships with flexible terms. Fifth, if hardship is real or national interest is clear, ask about waivers, rare, yes, but not mythical. Sixth, remember the human factor. Be kind to the officer. You are one case among hundreds that day, and professionalism can be the difference between a request for missing paper and a denial that sends you to the end of the line. And finally, look beyond the headline word ban. What really governs your fate is the set of dials behind it. Identity integrity, data sharing, deportation cooperation, overstay profiles, and geopolitics. When those shift, your chances shift. When those improve, lanes reopen. When they degrade, plates slide again. You don't have to like the playbook to outsmart it. You have to understand it. So here's the takeaway, distilled to one breath. A court-tested legal button plus a global scorecard and an adjustable timeline. Add carve-outs to manage risk, waivers to show flexibility, and review clocks to keep leverage alive. Creates a system that can tighten or loosen on command. Whether you cheer or jeer, recognize the architecture, because in a world of dashboards and deadlines, the next update is always closer than it looks. And the smartest traveler is the one who plans for 3 outcomes and celebrates the best one. That's the playbook. That's the pressure. And that's why this story is only in intermission, never in credits.